my name is Shar and I am an LPN. I decided to start making videos because going on YouTube, you don't see too many videos that are particularly for LPN nurses, mainly RN or just nursing in general, but my experience is, LPN school and working as an LPN. So I said, hey, let me make videos for people who are going through the same thing or been through the same thing. So I started my nursing journey last year, January 2019. I started LPN school, and then I was done in December of 2019. So it's pretty much a 12-month program. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't really know any nurses. I worked as a CNA for many years, so I didn't really have much experience with nurses, but nurses really do. You see the stuff. As a CNA, you see the stuff, but you don't know for sure, like, what nurses really do. But I decided to go to school for nursing because I got tired of hurting my back as a CNA. So I said, hey, why not? So I did my 12-month program for LPN, and it was tough. Let me tell you. I think that's why so many LPNs do get offended when we hear people say LPNs are not nurses, or when people kind of like degrade us as nurses, because we go through so much to get through nursing school. Again, nursing school, LPNs are nurses, and also study for our boards and pass our boards. It's really tough. It's not easy, even though it does take a year. That was a really tough year. I know for our program, we started with 30 plus people, and I think it was less than 7 or 9 people who actually, ended up with us in the end of the program. So needless to say, it is a really tough program. It does take hard work, dedication, all that good stuff. Anywho, so I just wanted to talk about my experience in the nursing program and how it really goes, because you hear certain things about it, but nobody tell you really, like, okay, what happens in these programs. So for me, I had a hard time because I thought when you said nursing school that you will be taught. I quickly found out that is not true. In nursing school, just like pretty much any other college, you're not really taught. You have your PowerPoint, you have your study material, and then when you come to class on Monday for lecture, I was told and quickly learned that it's pretty much when you have questions. So if you have a question, you bring it to lecture, but don't come to lecture thinking that you're going to start from the ground and just walk out of there and you know the stuff. That's not what it's for, and it's not going to be helpful. You will not be successful in nursing school just based off of lectures and PowerPoints. It won't happen. So that was new for me, being self-taught. So for me, I had to utilize any resource that I had. So I used YouTube. Oh my God, YouTube was a huge help. Crash Course, Sarah at registerednursern.com, very, very helpful to help me get through. And then a couple other people I can't really think on top of my head, I'm sorry. But there were a number of videos on YouTube that helped me through nursing school as far as really critically thinking. Simple nursing. Oh my God, Michael Simple Nursing. Huge help to get me through nursing school, and even still to this day, now that I am working as a nurse, I still go on his videos and Simple Nursing and just get a refresher, because it's still a learning experience. I'm still a new nurse. So let's talk about things that kind of helped me through nursing school. I'm an introvert. I don't have many friends by choice. I don't be around a lot of people by choice, but let me tell you, nursing school, you don't need friends, but you do need a study group. For me, it was, okay, if I couldn't comprehend something and I asked another person, they might explain it in a way that I do comprehend it. I'm like, oh yeah. And also another person may have tips for you to kind of creatively remember things like mnemonics or certain things that they can bring to the table. So study groups were a huge help. We would meet, whether it was before class, after class, whatever we had to do to kind of get some studying in. It was really helpful to have those study groups. Another thing that helped was flashcards. I worked overnight as a CNA while I was in nursing school, which was tough, but whatever. You got to get your money while working towards getting your money. So I worked overnight as a nurse, as a CNA. I was in nursing school, and I created so many flashcards. Oh my God. You go to the dollar store, you get like these 100 index cards. You cut them in half, and so you write hypertension on the front, and then on the back you write all the different signs and symptoms of it. And that's kind of what I did. And so I would do that for every class, every course, every chapter, and it sounds excessive, but for me it was really helpful, because then whether I'm at home, whether I'm at work, if I'm at a family function, I have my flashcards that I can go back and I can kind of keep, studying the material and quizzing myself on the material that we learned. Because what it was the schedule was on Monday you had lecture, and guess when your quiz was? Guess when your exam was? Wednesday. So Monday night lecture, and the first thing on class on Wednesday, you're doing an exam or you're doing a quiz. So you really have to study. You have to figure out whatever you can do to really learn, and comprehend these things. It's not your typical test. It's not your typical quiz where it's A plus B equals C. From day one, you are going to have quizzes and exams NCLEX style. NCLEX style. For our program, we didn't have an NCLEX course until the end of our program. But our first class quizzed us and tested us in NCLEX style questions. So, yeah, it was tough. It was tough, but again, you got to utilize your resources. For me, it was buying my NCLEX-PN book and making sure that I not only got the information out of there, like in depth, how to think critically through that book, but also studying the questions. They give you a code at the beginning of the book, and they will give you this code. You go online, you put the code in, and they give you literally thousands of questions. So if you buy that book at the beginning of your program, and me, look, I was working at CNA. I didn't have that much money, but it was a huge investment, and one of the most helpful investments that I did for my nursing career as far as like nursing school. So start those NCLEX style questions from day one. Other than that, you're going to be failing and trying to figure out, why am I failing? It's because you really have to learn how to do NCLEX style questions. So for me, again, I'm an introvert. I don't like to be around people too much. So when I experienced the haters in school, I was not surprised. I was, of course, annoyed, but I was not surprised. And by haters, I just mean just people that are constantly trying to put you down so that they can come up, which it doesn't happen, but they try. So one example that we will do is after every quiz, exam, test, whatever, because the tests were on computers, you will get your grade right away. So right after your quiz, you will go outside the classroom and you will pretty much wait until everybody else is done, and then kind of come back in class for lecture. So people will group up outside of class. Oh my gosh. Group up outside of class and they will come out. What did you get? Did you pass? I never really understood it. But it just happened all the time. So if you were to get a B, and I'm only saying a B because I was a B student, if you were to get a B on your test and you tell someone you got a B, their reaction is based off what they got. So if they got an A, they're not going to say, oh, congratulations, high five. What they're going to say is, oh, I got an A. I got an A. Congratulations, you passed just like I did. Or if you got your B and they got a C, or they failed, it will be, no, you must be lying. You didn't get a B. How you get a B? That test was hard. I'm like, after a while, honestly, if the majority fail, I say I passed. If the majority of the class passed, I said I failed. Why? Because you just get tired of the pettiness. At the end of the day, what my grade is, if you didn't help me get it, you don't really need to know what my grade was. If you're not going to help me do better on my next test, you don't need to know what my grade is. But that was just some of the pettiness. It was a lot of arguing, fighting, just a whole bunch of extraness in nursing school. You would think we are adults. I mean, people are there from the age of 18 to over 50. So you would think that we all had the same common goal, which is going to school, passing our nursing boards, getting this money and become nurses. But it was really catty, and hence why I'm an introvert. So for me, it was a lot. I was kind of happy to get out of nursing school for that sense. So anywho, we're going to go over to NCLEX. So NCLEX for me, I was very weird, and I studied my NCLEX, I scheduled my NCLEX at 8 a.m. on a Friday because my graduation was at 6 p.m. that Friday. So for me, the graduation was a motivation. It was like, look. If I pass my boards, I'm going to the graduation. I'm going to be happy. You know, I'm just going to be ecstatic. Or if I fail my board, I'm not even going to graduation. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And I'm like, that's crazy to even do it. But you know what? I did it. So I went to do my NCLEX. They're really tough in there, you guys. Don't come there with anything, even your car keys, everything. Just don't come in there with anything. When you come in there, they're going to search everything. You're going to get your pockets turned inside out. They're going to check in your ears, behind your ears, make sure you're not hiding anything. I'm surprised they just didn't tell us to bend over and cough, okay? Because they are really, really strict, which I understand. So you go in, you sit at a computer, you log in, you do a couple of practice questions. So I was kind of nervous. I'm like, man, they're giving us these extra questions. I'm just trying to do my minimum 85 and get up out of this, get out of here and just go, right? So anywho, I started getting into my actual NCLEX questions. Now, NCLEX is not as tough as people say if you are prepared. Again, I started my NCLEX questions first term, first class. So for me, it wasn't as tough. Now, if you don't start early in the game, then I can understand how it can be tough. So I'm going through my questions. I had, not majority, it was half and half, multiple choice, and the other ones were pretty much select all that apply. My only fill in the blanks were pretty much if it was medication dosage, things of that sort. So those were my only fill in the blanks. If you get any math, that'll be the fill in the blanks. But it was a pretty tough exam because throughout the whole thing I'm like, is this really boards? Like, am I really passing my boards? Am I doing good? Am I doing bad? I never really knew, you know. It's like, okay, I figured I was doing good, but I didn't really know, you know. And they say if you get the same type of question, the same category, then that means that you're not doing good. But if you go to different topics, that means you are doing good. So mine was all across the board, so I figured, okay, I must be doing good. I kept telling myself, girl, you got this, you got this, you got this. So once it got to like the 70th question, I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop looking at these number of questions because if it hit 85 and they don't shut off, I'm going to cry. I'm going to be devastated. And so I stopped looking at it. A couple questions after my 70th question, it shut off. So I'm like, oh my God. I either did really, really well or I failed horribly. It had to be one of the two, but I just kept telling myself, you did your best, you did your best. So I left, I went home. Again, my boards were at 8 a.m. And so the way we found out whether we passed or failed was our professor, they would have the results before it's displayed online. And so they would give you a call. You can ask them to give you the call or you can just wait. So I said, give me the call. So about 2 p.m., I'm laying in bed because I'm like, I'm just going to go to sleep because I don't want to even think about these results. My professor called. She said, Shar, you passed. And I'm just like, I'm quiet, y'all. Because I'm like, so when you say pass, you mean I ain't got to come back to lecture no more? I don't have to go back to clinical anymore. I don't have to do none of that. And so it was a shock to me. I was really, really quiet. And even like I went to my graduation, it was really, really like still a shock to me. I graduated in January, was our graduation. So I took my boards in January. It is now August, and guess what? I am still in shock. So yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. But at the end of the day, as long as you prepare yourself, you utilize your resources, and you take nursing school serious, then you will be okay. Don't come in there trying to find friends. Don't come in there trying to outdo the next person. Yes, it's good to make honor roll, but guess what? The same person who made A's, straight A's, took the same boards as the person that made B's and maybe even C's, and guess what? We all nurses. As long as you pass your board, you are a nurse, okay? So, what else? So that's just pretty much like my little feedback on school. I know it just kind of looked like a rant, but it was like a blur to me. It went by so fast. That year goes by so fast. A lot goes on. I feel like anything that can happen in life happens while you're in nursing school, whether it's car trouble, whether it's somebody getting pregnant. I didn't get pregnant, but just saying, whether it's car trouble, pregnancy, death, people cheating on you, whatever. It just seems to all happen while you're in nursing school, and it gets really, really tough. So the stress of going through school and the stress of life all combine on each other. It is a lot, but you can do it. You can do it. Have a good support system. If you don't have family or friends to be a good support system, join nursing groups on Facebook or Instagram, or follow people on YouTube, and get support there, because you cannot do nursing school alone. So if you found this video helpful or informative, then comment below. If you have any questions, comment below. I am, of course, working as a nurse. As soon as I passed my boards, like 2 weeks later, I was working as a nurse. I was not playing. I had jobs like already lined up. So even if you have questions about actual working as a nurse, I'll do videos of that as well. So like, comment, subscribe. I guess that's what